Greetings and welcome back to smartwatchtics.com. Blood oxygen. We're going to go into details about what you can expect in a really good wearable device like these different rings here that can give you detailed information about your blood oxygen saturation, SpO2 you see it referred to. I have the RingConn ring, which is a very new device to the marketplace, and it happens to be taking a reading right now. See the little red diode? Awesome. That blinks. It penetrates the skin and it gets a reflection and it goes through an algorithm and it can basically determine your blood oxygen content in that particular reading, one after another after another. These devices come from GoWellue. GoWellue.com. These are like your drugstore finger things. You stick your finger in and it reads your pulse and your blood oxygen, you remember that? But except this has got a little stretchy thing and you actually put it around your finger, it vibrates and it starts, you see the little red diode? It starts doing that same kind of reading that the ring here does, but it does it on a much more frequent basis. This particular one is called the O2 ring, and it has vibration in it. This one, a little bit bigger battery, lasts a little bit longer. It's called the OxyLink, and does the same thing. You get it in here, you press a button, you start it up, and you're going to get the little red diode in there as it goes through its process. And it has a little beeper in it as opposed to vibration. We'll talk about the differences between those as we get into the data. Let me tell you how this is developing now. Here is a snapshot from a page from RingConn, the folks that are making this ring and offering it through Indiegogo. It's a great ring. There's a lot of really good things about this, including the blood oxygen. Here is a representation of what it looked like early on in their app. Now, I want you to notice the difference between this one right here. You see how it kind of goes down and over and down and up and stuff like that? And how it actually looks now in the app. I'm actually on the blood oxygen page right here, SpO2 sleep average for Friday, and you can see it's been softened. It's got curves to it. And if I touch a specific point, it'll give the line. See, there it's the bottom. That's a 93% reading. And notice it's from 353 to 422. 53, 03, 13, 23. That's almost 30 minutes, right? 29 minutes or so. If I take another one, say 97 right here, 451 to 520. Again, we're looking at almost 30 minutes. So in that 30 minutes between there and there, they're getting a data point. So that particular data point, 96% is the average or a single reading between those time frames, and then this one's the next one and the next one and so forth. Now it looks really curvy because the scale is only 90 to 100. If it was 0 to 100, it would look like that straight line with just a little bit of wiggle in it. But they have compressed it so you can see the differentiation. So it's not all that big. That's 99% right there, and that's 93, which is quite a big range. But it's showing you a smoothed out curve, which means it's probably doing some averaging in the algorithm. Now, here's where it gets valuable to understand what you're looking for in blood oxygen. There's three different kinds of information that pertains to you. One is the overall average. Here's a 7-night average, 95. So with the ups and downs and everything over the last week of readings, Uncle Tix has been averaging 95. That's kind of on the low side. With really good health and strong lungs and young, not like Mr. Tix, you could see 98, 97, somewhere in there. But hey, it's not 90, so it's hanging in there. But look at the range, 93 to 99. That's the second factor. What is the breadth of the readings? Is it 95 constantly, or do you have ups and downs? And this is where it gets important to pay attention to the downs. How low can it go? And how long does it stay there? And that's where these guys come in. This is overall good for averages, and I can just kind of show you. Here's the night before. Average of that night was 94. Here it is the night before that, almost constant here at 95 throughout the night, just a tiny little change back on Tuesday. So that data is good for just checking your overall averages. But if you have sleep events like sleep apnea, or you hold your breath, or you're tense, or you have crazy dreams that, you're breathing really fast or really shallow or whatnot, it may be important for you to assess not so much the average, but the peaks. What's it doing and how low is it going and for how long during the night? Now let's switch gears. These two products from GoWellue, the O2 Ring and the OxyLink, have a totally different approach. This one takes a reading every 4 minutes, and this one, the OxyLink, actually can take a reading every minute. Now, when it's doing it that frequently, there's a good chance you'll likely hit a point where you're holding your breath and your blood oxygen has dropped down really, really low. Case in point, let's switch over here to... I wanted to show you Fitbit just as an example of what they're doing in the health metrics, in blood oxygen. Not a whole lot of detail. Here's a chart. You just get one number for that particular night, and it shows you the overall percentage and whether you're above or below in a zone that they recommend that you're in. And that's for the whole week. I'm not seeing a lot of detail. Here's the previous week and such. So I'm not going to bring the Fitbit into this discussion because we really don't have any data. Same thing with the Oura Ring. You only get one number for the whole night, which is the average of that night. And that honestly doesn't tell you anything unless it's significantly low. So not much to show you here, but that was one of them I'd opened. Here we go. This is called ViHealth, and this is the app for the these particular rings. We're in the oxygen levels. Now I have 3 different readings down here I want to go through. Way down here at the bottom is an all-night one. Look at this. Is from 9 p.m. till almost 7 in the morning. I got blood oxygen and I got pulse, and it looks really busy and crammed up. And this is from this little puppy here, every 4 minutes. What's impressive here now is I can open these charts up, and you'll see the times change. And check it out as I go deeper and deeper into it. 12:56 a.m. to 1:08, just the span of a few minutes, you can start to see where these individual readings come in and become really important. Touch this, and I now can actually monitor it. That was an 84%. Not good to be consistently at 84%. Let me tell you, there's 89, 87. The net back up here is 96. So in the span of just a few minutes, if I open this even further, from roughly there at 1 a.m. to 1:02, right? That's about 3 minutes, 4 minutes. In a span of 4 minutes, look at what the blood oxygen can do. It can literally range between 84 and 96. Now, if you're on a device like the Ring that's taking it every 30 minutes, even every 15 minutes or so, and actually reporting a number, where are you getting that? Are you hitting right here, or are you hitting right there? What's the likelihood? What is the likelihood that you're actually going to get a measurement at those tiny peaks when these types of events are actually happening? Look, the rest of the night, pretty smooth. But then all of a sudden, you hit into another one, somewhere in here. Where is it? Way over there. And there's a dip right there. Now, you see the two right together? Come back in here. That's at 6:20 and 34 seconds. And that's at 6:20 and 46 seconds. And then you're out of it that quickly. So monitoring blood oxygen for sleep anomalies is not what you're going to get when you use a device that is taking readings infrequently, and certainly not what you're going to get when they take an overall nighttime reading and average it to one single number. It's like the median price of a house, in a market. That's the middle price. The more expensive and lower, but that's the median. And all I can tell you is if the market's going up or down. This can actually tell you some really significant data about how your health is. Now, this is the one where it's taking it about every 4 minutes or so. Come back here, go to a different one. Here we are in the OxyLink, and it's taking it once every minute. And you see how radical it is in its ability to capture even more information. Every 4 minutes, I might have missed one or both of those peaks if they're too far between. Every 15 minutes, I would have missed that entire sequence of events going on right there. So the story about blood oxygen is, yes, indeed, you can have readings that go way lower than you expect. We're looking at 87, 88, right down there. We've seen 82, even down to 80. But they're instantaneous. They're not going to strangle you and starve you of oxygen unless they go on too long. But they're just like what happens if you hold your breath. If you gasp for air and you recover, your blood oxygen has dipped down during that time frame. Now, I remind you, I am not a medical doctor or a trained technician or know what the heck I'm talking about from the field of medicine. I'm talking as a layperson with an understanding and obviously a sleep situation where I do have some times during the night that my blood oxygen drops. I do have experience, especially with this one, the O2 ring. That's the one I highly recommend of everything else if you're interested in monitoring your blood oxygen at the level of sleep apnea, perhaps. I have noticed this vibrate and I wake up gasping for air. I have noticed my heart beating quicker, because I've got lower oxygen when I wake up. A lot of different things that otherwise I would sleep right through. So the understanding of what you're getting when you're looking at oxygen levels of blood oxygen is dependent a lot on the sensitivity of the device, the frequency with which it's taking its readings, and the algorithm or reporting that comes out of it. You see how choppy this all is, up and down, but it's giving you an accurate chart. It is the bumpy road of a car that is in a sports suspension. You're feeling every rock on the road and especially the potholes. But if you want that cushy ride where it's all averaged out, and it's sampled over 10, 15, 30 minutes in between actual readings, something like the RingConn at this point can give you that kind of a reading. What I would really love to see on all of these is the option for both, that you could have an instantaneous and an average button, and you get a chart like this for these as well that can give you a gut feel about how are you easing through the night. Are you comfortably riding the wave of blood oxygen? And you hit another button and it gives you the refined raw data, the basic ding, 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 ding. And if you drop down to 84, by golly, that's where you're at, and that's going to be reported, not averaged out. So if the RingConn is actually taking blood oxygen readings more frequently than every 30 minutes or so, and I think it's taking one every single time the diode comes on, which is about every 2 to 4 minutes, it would be really beneficial if it's holding all that data and not averaging it in the ring for lack of memory. But if it can hold all that data and transmit it over to the app could be improved to show you more relevance of the instantaneous blood oxygen and more dynamic range below 90. A lot of it we already saw over here drops well below 90 occasionally through the night. It's even color-coded yellow, and it's off the screen. And those are the times when the alarm goes off. You can set it to go off at, say, 85, 87, 80, depending on how often and how deep your body is producing low oxygen. This ring, no, it doesn't have a vibration and it's not about to wake you up, but it certainly could report back more detailed information over a broader range. This is what it looks like in a scale of 70 to 100. And of course, this is what it looks like in 90 to 100. It would miss anything that's going down actually that low. If it accidentally caught one, and one time in my first review of this one, I caught at the bottom of a sleep apnea moment, I believe, and it just made a really deep dip, and it looked like it is an aberration, an error. The ring had slipped and it wasn't reading right or something. But there's a good chance that that was an actual valid value at that point. So they're probably taking individual values, not taking 10 of them and averaging them out and then running it through a smoothing algorithm to make it a smooth curve. All different ways of presenting the data, but it depends on what you're going to do with it. If you are actually looking at working with blood oxygen in a wearable device for a purpose, make sure that the data that you're collecting and the way it's being presented will honor that purpose. And most of the purposes I've seen is to look for instantaneous readings that are deep drops in the normal blood oxygen. If you're averaging 95, 96, 97 throughout the night and you're just looking at the overall average, it's telling you you're alive. That's good, you know. But there's a lot more going on in your body than what happens with one number over the entire night while you're asleep. But wait, we're not done yet. There's a whole lot of reasons why you might actually want a real-time blood oxygen reading. Perhaps you're an athlete and you want to improve your performance by hyperoxygenating your blood so that you have endurance and you don't shift into lactic acid too frequently or run out of steam, right? And getting a good blood oxygen reading and doing a practice, perhaps using this GoWellue breath tube where you actually inhale and strengthen your lungs and your throat and all kinds of things in conjunction with measuring your blood oxygen, that might be for you. Or perhaps you're recovering from COVID and you're doing the same thing, trying to improve your breathing and up your instantaneous blood oxygen. Well, you're looking at the classic stick your finger in, see the red diode down there, blood oxygen heart rate from CVS, $15-20. Compared to, $150 some odd, $250 ring, let's see how they do. Here's a comparison with the CVS finger probe and the OxyLink, 96, 97 blood oxygen, 73, 74 pulse, 72, 73, jumping around a little bit. It's stabilizing right now, and this is the actual live reading transmitted from the device to the app. It's storing it on here. It can transmit the entire chart later, or you can look at it live. But that's a super good correlation between these two. Here's the comparison now between the little CVS finger probe, 95 and 74, 95 and 75. Here it is, 96 currently, 75. So again, very, very close, if not identical, within 1 point on both pulse and blood oxygen between these devices. And now the O2 ring, when we take the reading, the instantaneous reading now for the O2 ring, we did that from the main page by coming up here, scrolling down to the blood oxygen and hitting measure. And it was giving me 100%, which is really interesting. The CVS device giving me 97 and 77, which was pretty much what we already saw with the other two devices. But the ring in the instantaneous measurements coming in flagging at 100%. That seems a little off for me. It's hard to imagine getting 100%. There we go. Now it's snapped in, 97. It takes a while usually for these measurements to settle in. 98, now it's back to 100. So that's what the RingConn is giving us. And again, from looking at the way the pattern is, it's also smoothed out a little bit too. So there may be an algorithm going in there adjusting it somewhat too. Anyway, that's the comparison with the RingConn. So bottom line, it is feasible with all these devices and with their tethered app to take instantaneous blood oxygen readings and work with that in your awake state. You have the sleep thing and then you have the awake thing. And all of these devices do pretty darn good, it looks like, of correlating with each other and an inexpensive drugstore blood oxygen pulse meter across the board. I hope this helped. Once again, just for reminders purposes, this is the O2 Ring, the one I recommend that has the little vibration in it, relatively inexpensive. Use the link GoWellue.com. The Oxy Link is a more sophisticated device, bigger battery, once every minute. This was every 4 minutes in this, once every minute. Every 4 is probably good enough unless you really, really want refined data. Then this higher capacity, longer memory storage one is appropriate for you. Even a better price, actually. And this one you can tie in with a Wi-Fi remote stick, so you literally could have the data transmitting to the Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi going anywhere in the world. So if you've got a doctor in London and you live in Nepal or something, you could literally connect it all up. And the chart that you saw in here could be being transmitted through Wi-Fi real time, live, with the Oxy Link. And finally, if you're dabbling in all of this and you're getting an education about blood oxygen and you want to basically see where you are, the RingConn is my choice in terms of these wearable devices for a reasonable portrayal of the data now that they have got it where you can actually see a lot more range, and it's actually sensing a lot more range, 93 to 99 or 100. Most of the devices I've tested, as you've seen in the reviews, it's 96, 7, 8, 9, maybe 97 to 99. There's hardly any variability at all. And I'm thinking they're missing a lot in the sensors. They're just not refined enough. So RingConn, Indiegogo, got a link in the show notes for that. You can pick it up. It does, like I said, way more than blood oxygen. Heart rate variability. It does your heart rate itself, sleep information, on and on and on. Step count, day after day, free. There's no subscription for any of that or the GoWellue stuff. But this is basically an overview of blood oxygen and how it works and what you might look for in a wearable. Thanks for sticking with me. We'll see you again soon.